Excellent. However we're doing it now, I'm on my other streaming, the back end. So you might come in to like wave and say, hi, I'm going to be here, or just that sort of thing in the stream really quickly. Stay tuned. He plays the intro video. We come back in. I am going to do a brief, and I got to research this really quickly. I'm going to do a very quick overview of the general characteristics of the digital nomad law. I'm also going to talk about why, one of the main points I want to make is that Costa Rica has always made it easy for people to immigrate. Like the digital nomad visa is nice, but it really only just saves you from 3 border runs per year, where you could have been living here years ago as somebody who was a perpetual tourist.
Right.
So I'll just give the overview and try and stay very general about how, Costa Rica is very welcoming. They have encouraged people, and that this digital nomad law is the most recent, sort of iteration that's clear that the Costa Rican government supports foreign investment. And I'm taking notes as I figure out what I'm going to talk about. One thing I wanted to mention, I steer so far from any controversial topic on my channel whatsoever.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, because I'm too young to care about getting into debates with anybody. So it's not Costa Rica's freer, more whatever. We always stay apolitical, etc.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'll give some of the general characteristics in a 4 or 5 minute intro. I'm going to do I'm going to do a couple gags with, first of all, we're going to have a surf report with Jonas and Daniel. Oh, damn it. It's the same problem as always. I have to,
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but I just got a notification about 2 minutes ago that you're live.
Yeah, and that's on StreamYard. It's not yet on YouTube is the thing.
Okay, it shows it on YouTube here. Like it shows to me, I've got an icon from YouTube because I'm subscribed, and it says Costa Rica Matt is live.
Oh, it shouldn't be. Well, hopefully people aren't listening to us. And I actually, yeah, I'm looking at my terminal over there, and I can see it's still asking me to go live. We'll just.
Oh, okay.
So let me see if I can do this really quick because I wanted to share. Oh, too large. Gosh darn it. The surf report, Daniel. So can you get that up on the, when you go to share it as an overlay, let's see. Oh no, and I'm sorry. Oh yeah. So Daniel, I'm just going to trust you to do the things. One of the gags we'll pull when I come back will be, first of all, okay, so we're here live in Costa Rica for our live Costa Rica real estate chats. Matt, every week we try to make these better. We're here live Wednesday nights, and we want to make sure we have the absolute top customer service available to answer your questions. So I want to let you know this night we have operators standing by to field any of your questions and then play that, obviously that clip.
Yeah, Matt, you're live. You created a second stream, and you're streaming on on another,
on YouTube?
Yeah, there are 8 people watching us right now.
Holy cow!
Hey, everybody.
That's the most awkward entry we've ever had to a live YouTube streaming episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Once again, my tech knowledge has absolutely demonstrated its limitations. This is Costa Rica Matt broadcasting live from Playa Junquillal. Apparently, we've already been broadcasting live for the last several minutes, and we weren't scheduled to start until 7 p.m. Costa Rica time. So first of all, I'm going to ask Daniel to remove the overlay there. We'll try and edit this all out. Tonight, I'm going to be talking to the man sitting over here. His name is Terry Peterman. He's the one who tried to tell me about 5 minutes ago that we were already live. And I thought, oh no, he just doesn't understand our system. It must not really be true that we could be live here. But anyhow, we have been, and I'm very glad that we weren't talking about anything crazy at that time. Tonight, our topic is digital nomads in Costa Rica, and this is chapter 1. Over the next couple weeks, I'm going to have a couple digital nomads. Tonight, we're starting with Terry, who is a very special person because he was a digital nomad long before Costa Rica's national government passed a law encouraging people like him to come down and work and promote their businesses as people working online. So Terry, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Matt.
What we'll cover tonight is, first of all, a simple summary of what the digital nomad law involves. I'm going to give some personal thoughts as to what I think, how the digital nomad law will balance out over time in terms of immigration and how things, whether or not it's going to significantly change the country with time. We'll do a quick surf report. We'll do a quick report on some exciting local real estate. At the absolute end of our broadcast, I'm going to announce a fire sale condo that we have now listed that I think honestly should be sold by the time we wake up tomorrow, because we have a price reduction from sellers that's very exciting. Again, we're still about 2 minutes away from when our live broadcast was absolutely supposed to start. But if you've been watching for the last 6 or 7 minutes, you might have noticed that somehow I got my live stream started, but well before I expected to do so. Thank you very much for toughing out the beginning awkward portion of this as we figure it out. Thanks for joining us live from Costa Rica. It's Costa Rica Matt talking about digital nomads with Terry Peterman. Stay tuned. Greetings from Costa Rica, folks. It's Costa Rica Matt broadcasting to you live here from Costa Rica in Playa Junquillal, Guanacaste. If you've been watching for more than a couple minutes, you saw that we had a large technical error that was my fault, and I have a guess that it has to do with this iPad. We've been broadcasting live for several minutes about the topic regarding digital nomads, and actually it's kind of ironic that, speaking of digital nomads, I would blow it so horribly in terms of the technology. But anyhow, my guest tonight is going to be Terry Peterman. Terry is amazing. He has a huge YouTube channel. If we, were to compare me to Terry Peterman, it would be a David and Goliath times 10 scenario. Terry is the internet electrician. He and his wife, Sandy, bought property in Costa Rica years and years ago, before becoming digital nomads was anything on the radar of people internationally. They've built a home here. They're selling the home. They want to continue promoting projects. And Terry's going to talk to us about his experience as a digital nomad, working here, working as an internet personality, on and on. And I guarantee you he's a lot better at streaming than I am. So I'm very grateful to have Terry joining me tonight. Again, the primary topic that we're going to cover is digital nomads in Costa Rica, and this is chapter 1. Over the next couple weeks, live on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Costa Rica time, just like my typical YouTube live broadcast, we're going to have different digital nomads talking to us about what they do here, how it is living in Costa Rica, and their experiences taking advantage of this program or not. Before I bring Terry into the interview and start rolling here, I I wanted to mention, if you're joining us live anywhere in the world, be sure to post comments, questions, and concerns in our comments there on the YouTube channel. Let us know where you're from and how you're joining us. I also want to start out with a couple quick news items from Costa Rica. First of all, we have a very urgent surf report, breaking news coming here from Playa Junquial, Guanacaste, Costa Rica, as a local celebrity emerges and takes to the waves. We're going to see here, hopefully Daniel can bring it up. Or not, maybe? Nope. Okay, he's giving me a signal. No, we had a cute clip of my kids surfing in the waves lined up. Yet another technical glitch. Oh well, who gives a hoot? Let's keep going right on with our weather report. It's early October, folks, and generally speaking, we don't know whether it's going to rain or pour. Padum-ching. Just a little joke to get us started. Next, I wanted to also mention, we've been very focused, and Daniel, give me a sign here if we can bring up this clip, on improving our customer service lately. I don't want to make sure any of your questions go unanswered tonight. So if you're watching live from around the world, be sure. Daniel, I don't know if we're live.
Yes, I'm here. Okay. Okay.
So we have our customer service representative standing by, ready to take your call. I'm also going to hit go live in this. I'm having a little bit of difficulty connecting to the comments. As we said, it's been a fun evening so far, and without further ado, let's just get right to the meat of our subject tonight. Costa Rica's government has enabled digital nomads to move to Costa Rica and get residency here as an incentive to bring more foreign investment. As I've talked about many times on my channel, the Costa Rica government has an extremely pro-foreign investment stance. And this digital nomad law has absolutely been part of their efforts to stimulate more people moving down here. You know, the logic is very much that if they can get foreigners investing in Costa Rica, your salary, your contribution to the economy here is going to be significant. And it's very much what they look to as part of the solution to their fiscal picture going forward. The digital nomad law was passed with broad support from the Costa Rican Tourism Board. It's legislation that was designed specifically to stimulate tourism and bring more people down here through 1-year visas. Here's where I feel a little bit weird about 1-year visas, and it's important to understand in the context, Costa Rica has always been very welcoming of tourists. When you come down here as anybody with a week-long ticket, or generally speaking, to just stay in a resort for a short period of time, they'll give you up to a 90-day visa, which is also renewable. You've heard about people living in Costa Rica for years and years and years and years as perpetual tourists. And that's still very common. There are business owners, there are all kinds of folks who have decades of experience living in Costa Rica, and they're actually perpetual tourists, which means they have to leave the country every 90 days to get a renewal of their tourism visa. That's a very simplified, summary of the situation, but that's been the status quo for a long time here. And tons of foreigners have moved to Costa Rica under that framework. Costa Rica wants you to come down here and make a bigger commitment because they want your investment. They want to really get you to lock into a 1-year stay, and they want you to feel comfortable so that through this new digital nomad program, you don't have to leave the country every 30 days. Frankly, I see that as the primary benefit, and really for people who are considering it, it's to me the big difference between perpetual tourism and this visa will essentially be that you don't have to make your border run trips. And at the same time, I see that, personally, I don't know the nuances to filing for this visa and going through the entire process, but I don't necessarily see it as a commitment that a lot of people need to take. Everyone comes down to Costa Rica motivated to get residency because they want to be here and really feel like they're invested. But at the same time, all forms of residency are a commitment here to bureaucracy. They're a commitment to really filling out a lot of paperwork and jumping through some hurdles. And for a lot of people, perpetual tourism has been a solution instead of trying to seek any kind of residency. If you're just joining us live, be sure to post your questions, comments, concerns about digital nomads here in Costa Rica. Before we get any further along, let's just go ahead and bring in Terry Peterman. Terry, long before I was doing what I'm doing and long before the Costa Rica government was actively encouraging digital nomads through visas, had identified this as a place to relocate and work remotely. Terry, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Matt, and thanks for that introduction. Actually, contrary to what you said, I haven't done a lot of live streaming, and you, if you pardon the analogy to baseball here, you are knocking it out of the park with your live stream. So you are doing very well.
There have been some stumbles. 2 episodes ago, my wife and I thought we were live for about 13 minutes where we weren't actually broadcasting, so we got to restart an episode. Tonight we were live and didn't know, so we got to start even earlier than anticipated. So here's a big cheers. I know, ironically, Terry, he is Canadian. He is not in Costa Rica at the moment because it's been exceedingly difficult for Canadians to come and go here. But tell us a little bit about your plans for Costa Rica, Terry. You bought property here about 8 years ago with the idea of specifically retreating to sort of Pura Vida surroundings and continuing your business. What was your idea and your plan and your vision? And I'll go ahead and hit this.
All right. No, and just to finish that thought about the live stream, I've only done one live stream and it was a disaster. So I do all my stuff pre-recorded and Sandy does the editing afterwards. And sorry about that. She's cooking me dinner and we have the smoke alarm going off, and it's not that she's bad, but an extremely sensitive smoke
What
alarm.
else can we get going on? I think we need, there has to be a major electrical failure in one of our locations or something bursting in from off scene to just add to the atmosphere here.
Just a sec here. I'm going to.
Yeah, and no problem. So essentially, Terry and Sandy bought property in our community, Playa Junquial, about 30 minutes south of Tamarindo. This is not your typical, really expat intensive location. And it's specifically where Terry and Sandy invested. You guys have a secluded retreat in the woods that I think a lot of people are dreaming about when they imagine their Costa Rica home, and they don't necessarily find it in a lot of the tourism hubs. So they've got this 3-bedroom house that they've built. Tell us how, what you saw evolving here in Costa Rica and how that fit into your plans.
Okay, well, it started, we had a business. We had an electrical contracting business up here in Canada, in Olds, Alberta, Canada. And back in 2008, we sold that. But prior to that, I was one of the early pioneers in the internet. In 1997, we saw a need for online electrical help because We had a shop, we had employees, we had a storefront operation for lighting and electrical parts sales. And of course, we just knew that people are doing their own electrical work, which is fine. You're allowed to do that. But we saw a need to help them do it right and be able to get the right good information so that they're not just flying in the dark there and trying to do their own electrical work, pardon the pun. But anyhow, so we saw a need. We started a website in 1997, as I said, back in the days when the internet was a Word document. There was a flat file sitting up there.
I was gonna say you were website number 50 or so if you founded it in 97. There were
Yeah,
only a couple hundred places to go on the internet at that point, from my recollection as a 13-year-old.
Yeah, it was pretty early. Like I said, it was just a flat file you could put up there, like a Word document. And I remember one of our first meetings with a web developer. He said, you know, we could actually make cartoon images and actually have their hands move back and forth. And I said, no way. You can't.
Yeah, impossible.
Yeah. So anyway, we just put up a bunch of information, and then as the internet evolved and new things, new tools were being put forth, we just evolved along with it, and really just kind of nursing the business along because it was secondary to what we did, of course. And then with YouTube and everything, that just changed, big game changer there. But when we sold our business, we thought we would work on the online stuff full time, and so we did. Sold our business. We moved into a motorhome, big 40-foot coach. So we sold everything. 40-foot coach towing a 24-foot car hauler, and we hit the road. So we traveled south for the winters.
Yeah.
And we ended up buying a home in Arizona, and then we'd go further south. And all the while doing the digital nomad thing, we were working online with our web business. And we had on that motorhome, we had a automatic dish that went up for TV and an automatic dish that went up for HughesNet satellite coverage. So virtually everywhere we parked it, whether it was a Walmart on the road down south or a truck stop somewhere, we had internet connection. So off we went. We went for the first 2 years. We went as far as Puerto Vallarta, Mexico with that rig, and back and forth. So that's how that all started, and here we are today. Now, go ahead, but I'll tell you how we fell into Costa Rica.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to provide a quick update. I think that I was not live in the location I planned to be, and I was live in a different location. That's the source of what we have. So we're probably actually live in 2 places now, on the originally scheduled stream and elsewhere. Whether or not you've joined us on link A or link B, welcome. It doesn't matter. Everybody is included here. I'm Costa Rica Matt, and I'm joined by Terry Peterman, who was one of the first people who thought that moving to Costa Rica to relocate his digital business would be a great idea. He and his wife Sandy built a really cool home in the woods with a pool that's absolutely secluded and isolated. They're joining us for our live Wednesday night chat here. So if you're on stream B, where I think I just went live moments ago, that's where we are right now. We're 15 minutes late for you, and we were 15 minutes early for everybody else. So we'll just continue bulldozing forward here and hope this all works out. So you were switching to an online business and realizing, congratulations for evolving way before everybody else and realizing that your internet business providing advice to people was going to be a huge component. If you haven't found Terry on YouTube, you can just put in the Internet Electrician and you'll see that he's got 84,000 subscribers and just every DIY video. Why did you think about, okay, now we want to start going to Costa Rica, or we want to have this place down there as our digital nomad retreat and sort of switch from a typical lifestyle in Alberta?
Well, my motivation was I grew up in Alberta, Canada, so I really learned to despise cold weather. In fact, bitterly despise it. I didn't want to ever see snow again. So as we traveled south, we found out that actually Arizona wasn't even warm enough for us in the winter time in January, February. So we carried on further south, and I was looking for somewhere to invest as well, because there's you just I wanted to diversify a little bit, and I wanted to stay busy.
Mm-hmm.
So we did Mexico for the first couple of years, and then some friends of ours were going down to Costa Rica, and I always wanted to check it out. So we decided to join them. They were a 2-week all-inclusive there at Conchal,
Okay.
and we just booked a place in Tamarindo, and then just started touring, looking for places to possibly invest. So our travels took us, we would spend one day on the beach in Tamarindo, and then the next day we'd tour. One day we'd go north, and the next day we'd go south down the beach. And we stumbled upon Junquial, which I couldn't pronounce back then. I maybe still didn't do it right.
No. I've known you for a few years now, and you're doing incredibly well. Yeah.
Well,
You joined us here in Junquial, and you and I have had a lot of conversations over the years, especially in the down times here when it was super quiet. And we feel passionate about this area because we want the real Costa Rica. We want peace and quiet. We want trees and monkeys and at least a 45-minute drive to your nearest souvenir stand. And the area very much attracts that kind of person who absolutely wants to retreat. Previously, Costa Rica didn't really appeal to a lot of these people, but I see that the sort of online lifestyle and people who have these businesses are really motivated now to find communities more like ours that aren't necessarily like California where they're coming from.
Yeah. So I mean, we soon learned that Tamarindo wasn't the place for us, because I mean, it's nice, it's great, but we have done, over the years of working, we had done all the Caribbean islands and Mexico and the all-inclusives, and that's not what we were looking for. So when we found Junquial, we just said, hey, I saw it as the next place that's going to develop, and it's undiscovered, like the natural beauty and beautiful beaches and virtually undiscovered. I thought this is a good place to be and a good place to invest. So we did. Back in 2013, we bought a lot.
Yeah, Terry and his wife bought in 2013. That, was still in the fallout of the 2009 and 10 collapse. And if you were looking for a quiet area, this entire stretch of the coast that's south of Tamarindo was a lot quieter then, because the ongoing recession was having such big implications for people investing in foreign countries. I mean, you saw in 2009, people buying property like crazy everywhere at any price imaginable. And by 2013, you guys were sort of one of few people, really investing at that point, and especially outside of the tourism hubs. How have you, when you've come down here, I know that the pandemic put a dent in your plans in terms of spending time in Costa Rica. How has it been trying to produce YouTube content and run the digital side of your business from this jungle retreat, sort of isolated in the woods here in Costa Rica?
Well, as you know, Costa Rica has great infrastructure, and we've never had a problem being connected. So our particular properties don't have the fiber or the hardwired internet right now. Working on that, but we've managed just fine with right now I'm using a Claro Wi-Fi. Got awesome speed. I can do whatever I need to do. I can upload my videos if I shoot them. See, last year, pandemic really hasn't interrupted our plans much at all, except for last season. I went myself. Sandy was a little concerned about not being able to come back, and as it turned out, rightly so. I had to kind of make a quick exit in February to get ahead of all the madness in Canada. But when I was down there and shooting some videos, I was able to upload without a problem up to the Google Drive, and she was able to grab the video down and edit it and put it all together. So it worked well. And like I say, Costa Rica is just so well connected. So
Yeah, no, previously I had a guy named Simon, I think probably almost 2 years ago on my channel, and he has a very similar house to yours that's not on the beaten path. You're not on a highway. You're really in a place where you probably only see a couple dozen cars drive by at the peak moment of your year, you know, in a day or two. These really private locations, and you guys have this Claro device you were mentioning, which taps into the local cell phone network. And assuming you've got decent cell phone signal, even with that, you can pretty much manage an online business and make progress forward, which I thought it's always amazed me because I have no idea how any of this works, but you can get these functional internet connections in the absolute, you know, to be clear, we're not in the middle of nowhere, but you can get these connections at very remote locations and combine that peace and quiet and privacy with really a decent infrastructure to be communicating with the rest of the world and still going forward with your business.
correct, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you guys built your own home here. Did you have any special approach when you were thinking about specifically your house, or was there a particular focus about Casa Paraíso de Vida?
Well, I've built quite a few homes over the years myself. On the side, I've general contracted putting together 4 or 5 homes in my hometown that we'd live in and sell. So I knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to do a nice home that's good for the rental pool, because my plan was to build and sell it and do another one. So we've got 5 properties with which to work with here. So I wanted to build a home that had 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, so that it would be nice for 3 couples to come and have their privacy, at communal kitchen area, lots of outdoor living space. And so we picked that area. Like you said, it's quiet, but it really isn't all that far. It's like a kilometer off out of Paraiso towards the beach, and it's exactly 1 mile walking down the road to Playa Blanca, which is, I've heard tell by local Costa Ricans that that's one of their most favorite beaches in the entire country. So we're 1 mile up from Playa Blanca, and a kilometer in from Paraiso, and really only about 500 meters from where you're sitting right now, over to the north. So it's quiet, but that's because the road doesn't go through down to the
Yep.
beach. So it's an in and out, and yeah, we don't have a lot of traffic, which is great for no dust and no prying eyes and such, right?
Yeah, and what I'm showing, you know, what I'm showing you now, first of all, this is not my listing, and I beg apologies. I pulled up Blue Water Properties website because it was the first photos that came up of Terry's house. But he's got a really you can see from the design and the location, when we were especially looking at the exterior photos, look at how much trees, how this is surrounded by, you know, Guanacaste's rural countryside. They currently have a good enough connection through a cell phone service provider that they can absolutely do business. And Terry, you know, fiber optic internet is coming down this road, and it's just a matter of time before they have that connection as well. So it's really cool to look at some of the possibilities here where you've got this retreat home, not at all in what you would consider a booming, you know, digital nomad, or, you know, a place that people would want to go because it's a tech hub and you can live there and run your online business. Especially now with Costa Rica's digital nomad law, they're going to give you the opportunity to stay here for a year, assuming that you can provide proof that you've got a regular job outside of the country and a fixed income. So you can come to the jungle, be immersed in monkeys and, you know, absolute rural surroundings, peace and tranquility, but still keep your US job. And I have to admit, or I'm sorry, your US or Canadian or European job. And I have to admit, I'm super jealous of the people who are going to take advantage of this program, because moving to Costa Rica and finding a way to make a living here is not easy. The economy here in Costa Rica, when I meet people who hope to earn a living based off the local economy, I really have to say, you need to be realistic that that's almost impossible. Our local economy in Junquillal, this town with 400 or 500 people, I mean, I've got one of the jobs. There are security guards, managers, hotel owners, but this is not a booming place where anybody on earth should expect to move in from outside and find a productive way to make a living and earn a salary, unless you have talents that are very specific to this area. If you're great at owning a beachfront bar, terrific. There are multitudes of ideas, but for many people, moving here and keeping your remote work is going to be the absolute best solution, because the salaries available to you, the income is going to be 100% different than it would be if you tried to find something down here. I wanted to mention, once again, we are still talking to Terry Peterman tonight on our Digital Nomads Chapter 1, Wednesday nights live at 7 p.m. I'm talking to people about everything related to Costa Rica real estate. I'm Costa Rica Matt. Again, I'm with Terry Peterman, who's one of the first people who thought about Costa Rica as a remote location for a digital nomad life. To get back to our topic at hand here. So when you had gone through a process looking at different possible locations. Mexico you visited and other countries. In the end, Costa Rica won out. You didn't just buy one single lot and build a house, but you bought other lots that you're hoping to, rebuild more houses and sell those as projects to new people. What was it about Costa Rica that said, this is the place?
Well, we didn't look at it as a get rich quick scheme at all. We bought that one lot that Sandy and I purchased in 2013. That's in our own name, and then we had an opportunity to buy 4 more from a developer that's in that area where we are. And so I brought in a partner, a good friends of ours, another couple from Canada, and we purchased the other 4 lots. And thinking, well, just would give me something to do while I'm down there as well, and develop these properties, and in no rush, right? So if we realized it's not all going to move really quick, and things have been slow, and that's just fine, because it's the pura vida.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is slow, and especially if you wanted to sell something extremely quick, you could have bought a 1-bedroom condo as close to the epicenter of Tamarindo or a major tourism hub as possible.
Right.
And, or Coco, got a couple of those units and resold those and, used them as rental properties. You chose this area because you felt it was up and coming and had growth potential. I know
and it feels like home. Feels like home to me. Like I just can't. I love it down there, and in that area, feels like home to me. Second home anyway, but to me, it's almost a first home now.
Yeah. So I know a lot of digital nomads, people who are thinking about this as sort of their remote location. They also have concerns about accessibility to a social life, amenities. They don't necessarily want to be 100% lost in the jungle in Costa Rica. How have you two transitioned, when you've been here in Junquillal and the local area? How have you found it in terms of, do you feel like you're truly remote? Do you have access to things? And how has it been sort of transitioning from a major city, or at least something like Alberta, to down here? Alberta. I keep pronouncing it like in Spanish, it would be Alberta. Sorry.
I like that.
Yeah, Alberta. It's very quaint.
You nailed it. No, we haven't had a problem staying busy because we're predominantly down there in the high season. So you're surrounded by friends, and I mean your social calendar fills up as fast as you want to let it. So we haven't been there in the off season. I have myself while building the house, but we'd like to spend a little more time. We're coming for 6 months here, starting in October, and Sandy she likes to hike, and so I want her to get involved with some hiking groups. But I mean,
Okay.
you don't want for anything there really. If you want to go find more action or go see something else, go to Tamarindo. We could go to San Jose, go to Escazú, rent a hotel, and live the city life for a weekend if that's what you're after, and do some shopping. So there's really nothing that there's no excuse to be bored, I don't think.
That's absolutely true. And especially for nomads, I think Costa Rica is, the people that I see suffering here, generally speaking, have no productive outlet. They're really just, maybe they moved down, they've fully retired, and between their social life and a lot of things, they sort of just go into a routine where they don't have much to do. And the people that I see who absolutely love Costa Rica have plenty to do because, it's even an interesting process where coming in as a foreigner, there's culture shock where you don't feel necessarily comfortable going out and socializing and exploring new locations. And people need to get in their car with their GPS. You take only 3 turns from this area to get into the capital city of the country. It's basically a 3.5, 4 hour drive at good times, or 4.5 hours at a busy time. Within much smaller distances, we have Tamarindo, 30 minutes, Flamingo, an hour away, on and on. There's different places to explore. And when people might be unhappy with Costa Rica, just like when I moved down here and was a volunteer originally, I had to really, I want to just isolate myself because I didn't feel comfortable reaching out to people and going and exploring, etc. But even in a town like Junquillal, like you said, your social calendar fills up as fast as you want to. And it's something that, when we came down here in 2008, at first we were going out 3 nights a week with all kinds of different people, different couple every time. And we could socialize as much as we wanted to. And over the years, it was kind of like, well, we've narrowed very much our social calendar and decided to spend more time quietly at home. But there's no limit to people going out and doing stuff here.
No. And like you said, that's a good point. If you don't have anything to keep you busy, it might not be for you. But we never have that issue because if there's a downtime, we should be working more on our YouTube channel, and so we could always do more, and
Yeah.
we get sidetracked by the fun stuff. So
that's modern civilization telling you that, relaxation is not allowed. And I feel blessed that, here you can get done with your YouTube work and within 5 minutes be at a spectacular, idyllic beach.
Yeah.
To me, the opportunity to both live and work in Costa Rica is incredible because you get such a wonderful way to offset the hard work that you're doing. For people who are retired, I think it can be sort of like, oh, I see the sunset every single day and it's wonderful on the beach, and I understand that. But for somebody who just grinded out 12 hours programming or launching a website for a product that they're managing the brand for, they can shut their laptop immediately, airplane mode on the phone, and head to the beach and just detox from the digital nomad life. And that to me is a really good balance because in a lot of places, whether you're in the United States, Canada, Europe, etc., you get done with your job, you drive home past a bunch of strip malls and neighborhoods and get, back home where You have TVs in every room. You're basically just looking to get back on your phone, etc. Here in Costa Rica, get done with your digital job and, really decide to take a few hours and not think about that sort of stuff because life is too short.
Yeah. Yeah. Our typical day is wake up, couple cups of coffee, and down we go to the beach, hit the beach, and walk for a couple miles in either direction on beautiful white sand beaches lined with palm trees. I don't have to sell you on it. It's so idyllic and so beautiful. And then we come back and do a little work, and I might be working on something around the properties or on my car, and Sandy will do some editing, and then trudge down again to watch the sunset.
Yeah.
Dinner time, whether you eat dinner at home or dinner out. Bedtime, because it's dark at 6.
Yeah, and as people who are a little bit, what is it, when you go down to sunset, I was going to ask more about your daily routine and stuff. Have you two felt comfortable here having, you have decades that you've lived in another country. I moved here right after college, and it's sort of been, this is, besides Indianapolis, Indiana, this is the only thing I know. Did you feel it was difficult for you as Canadians in your mid-40s, late 40s, moving to Costa Rica and transitioning to the culture and all of the complexities here?
Well, it's a challenge, but that was the challenge I was looking for. I built houses in Canada, and where you know where to get this, and you know how to do that, and you know who to call for this. So I found it just a really exciting challenge to learn the new culture and learn how things are done there. And there was frustrations that they're getting permits, but then when I think about it, there's frustrations here with that in Canada. So it's no different, really. It's just a different way of doing it, different systems that basically are the same. They're all trying to get things done, and you're trying to work within their system.
I've always been shocked because I expect, for example, I hear people complain about, in Costa Rica, I can't get a contractor out to remodel my place on an honest quote, an honest timeline, without overcharging and, just ruining the job. And I never had any exposure to the US, but as I hear more and more stories from there, I find out that there's a lot of the same junk going. That generally speaking, you're never going to be happy with service providers and, a range of things that you have to interact with in your life. At least in Costa Rica, it's warm, and you've got a big payoff once you've dealt with all of this.
Yeah, but that's a bit of a fallacy as well, though. Too, in Costa Rica, if you're frustrated by contractors, you found the wrong one, really, because there are some very good people, very good contractors there that are as efficient or more efficient than they are in Norte Americano.
Totally.
We have a great contractor. There's a great contractor in Junquial that we would have used, but with Doug there. But we found a building product that we kind of stumbled into, and we wanted to use it. And so that's kind of how we found a different contractor. But we found a wonderful outfit out of Tamarindo that was just as professional as you can get in any country.
Well, and plug them. What's their name?
It is Constructora Leonardo. It was Andres Cesana from Tamarindo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for Terry to be giving a positive review, he's not your typical expat. He didn't come down here and buy a 2-bedroom condo that had a keypad lock and linens ready in the closet. He bought land in, a street that's really a cool spot that's back road to some degree, and he built his own place. And I remember seeing, this was sort of before we knew each other really well. You were out there involved in the construction. You were very much hands-on. You've done it yourself here in Costa Rica, and you're still smiling. So it turns out that building your own house is not necessarily a nightmare here.
No. Once we got going, it was 9 months from breaking ground to finished product. And
Okay.
you can't do that up here.
No.
Up in Canada, or Calgary, Alberta, you can't do that. So.
Yeah, and yeah, again, I think it's great to reinforce to people, like you said, there are contractors out there that make it easy. You read a ton of horror stories online because when somebody has a bad construction story, they immediately post online about it 10,000 times to complain and try and get their revenge on the contractor. And that's why, yeah, of course, if you just Google Costa Rica construction process, you'll get these horror stories. But you'll meet people like Terry who bought a plot, found a good contractor, and years later have a really nice home. I'm trying to bring it up here again, but I have to figure out which ones I need to share here. Oh, it's this button. And oh no. Yeah, we had brought up the house earlier. You know, it's a very modern. You didn't necessarily go rustic. You had a lot of control yourself, but came out with something that you would see in Canada or the United States. You know, you've got an open kitchen and living space, hardwood ceilings. Your electrical work is beautiful throughout. I love the lighting because it's super bright every time we show the property. You did a smart thing with 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms in those bedrooms. So you could host 3 adult couples there without people, you know, getting one on top of the other. And you really did things to a standard that is not your, you know, just typical Costa Rica home or a quick spec build. This is a custom jungle home. You're looking out here at your terrace that faces out across the road. It's a cool place that is not your average Costa Rica home.
Yeah, I built it we put it together and built it to Norte Americano standards. So it's built to the NEC code. It's got all your arc fault and GFI receptacles and everywhere you need it. It's got plumbing, plumbed with proper plumbing with P-traps and venting, and so none of those gurgling toilets and such that you might find.
And you were able to do that in 2013, get up something that felt to your electrical standard.
Well, we didn't start building. Got the construction going in 17, and we finished at the end of 2017. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You held the property for 4 years.
Yeah, the first one, and the second group of lots we held for 3 years before we got going.
Well, and I would bet, honestly, when I thought about you buying the lot in 2013, that year, 8 years ago in my mind, still feels like you couldn't have necessarily had all of those construction supplies and especially the electrical equipment, that you would have been importing a lot of it. But it's, you know, with time, it seems like there's almost nothing wanting here. Was there anything that you would have loved to put into the house that Costa Rica doesn't have available from the perspective of the world's best electrician?
No, we were able to source it all. Like the main contractor that we found the building product through, which is an SIP construction. It's a panel construction. So it's magnesium oxide boards on the outside skins, and then it's styrofoam sandwiched between there. So he was importing all this from Australia originally, and after that, then he brought in all the supplies. So we got all the electrical boxes, the wire, all that came from Miami. So we didn't really lack for anything. If we were trying to source it locally, there might have been some challenges. The plumbing is all PEX plumbing, so that had to be brought in from Miami. But now it's getting so much better with the Do It Center and having that ferreteria, the hardware store back in Paris. So that is just a godsend.
Yeah, it's incredible. I have to make them a sponsor of the episode one of the weeks because, we live in this tiny remote beach town that feels like paradise. I'm sorry, feels like paradise. It is paradise. We have a hardware store up the road that, I had a client buy 7 or 8 months ago that was absolutely shocked to see what's available. I have no idea how they're going to stay in business. And this is a store that comes and goes, but it's, we have access to those materials. And in Costa Rica now, you're not talking about building a jungle shack out of bamboo. You have, I'm sure that the PEX plumbing equipment has been, or the supplies have been coming into Costa Rica. But other, materials you're talking about, keeping your electrical system to Canadian code, really, that stuff is becoming more and more ubiquitous. It's the same effect across everything. I remember when in 2008, the first year I was here, I couldn't find ketchup at a supermarket. And it's critical here because they serve this sweet ketchup at restaurants that I can't eat. And so I was looking for Heinz. Now I have Heinz 18 feet from my office, and then another 400 yards down the road, a half mile up from there. I mean, the supplies and what you build with, everything that's coming into Costa Rica are very advanced. And even for digital nomads who are thinking about, I've got expensive equipment, I have really important stuff, you can set yourselves up, first of all, with an internet connection that is going to be, even in a jungle house, sufficient to do business. Second of all, you can do an electrical system that protects your equipment and that is going to last the long term. And third of all, next week on Wednesday the 13th, I'm going to be talking to more digital nomads who live in a house where they've set up a mesh network between multiple internet connections. They have a Wi-Fi, direct micro, and a direct line of sight antenna system, plus a fiber optic connection to ensure that they're getting internet that works for people working at the absolutely top level of programming and streaming, etc. Again, that'll be Wednesday the 13th at 7 p.m. Costa Rica time. So you can set yourselves up here with something that doesn't, that's really a modern, comfortable home that is equipped to host somebody who's working online and doing, these mega jobs. It's not like you're going to have to sacrifice your productivity or risk, your viability as a business by moving to Costa Rica, I think.
Not at all, no. And you're doing it in a climate that's just, in my mind, perfect, right? The latitude 10.
Latitude 10. If you're currently living at a different latitude and you find the weather miserable, just like my guest, Terry Peterman, who grew up in Alberta and eventually moved to Costa Rica, bought a property here to find a better way of life, do send me an email. My address is matt@lat10realty.com. This is a great moment where we can check. Oh, Daniel is still watching. Way to go. He got the email address right up on the stream. If you're thinking about moving here, and especially as digital nomads, if the time is right for you, I'm a realtor with Latitude 10 Realty. My wife and I have our own company. Terry Peterman and his wife are also folks who are entrepreneurs who have chosen Costa Rica as a place to invest because it provides the perfect digital nomad location while also providing that perfect climate and a lot of things that unfortunately Alberta lacks just a little bit in terms of sunshine. Again, we'll be here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Costa Rica time, 8 Central Time, 9 Eastern Time with different guests. In the next week, I'll be joined by a different group of digital nomads who are extremely focused on programming and packet loss and latency and internet and really the details there. So be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you'll be able to see that link. I promise to not blow it again and broadcast on 2 streams simultaneously, with one starting 15 minutes early without our knowledge. Terry, I'm very grateful you joined us and you got through that and we moved on. It's been a huge pleasure. Again, if you've got questions, I would have seen them in the live stream, except that just tonight I did that huge technical glitch. And I think that all of the questions or any comments are in a different link than the one I'm watching. So anyhow, as always, it's been a pleasure broadcasting live from Costa Rica. I'll give it to Terry for one last thought if he wants to say anything more before we sign off tonight.
Just check it out. Like, I don't know if we're gonna do the digital nomad thing because we still have a home in Canada. So right now we're out on Vancouver Island. So we're 39 latitudes above you here. 49th on Vancouver Island. So while it's better than Alberta's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong. Sunshine, lots of sunshine, more sunshine than here. Just gets really cold in the winter. So you gotta go slow.
Well, anyway, we'll be looking forward to see. I'm sure you'll be back soon to enjoy the sunshine here.
Absolutely.
Everybody watching, join us next Wednesday. Do be sure to subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate you joining us. Again, Costa Rica Matt here, signing out from Terry Peterman. Buenas noches, pura vida, and keep it real.